Guys, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to CCW Insider June 1st edition. My name is Nelio Cuomo Costa. I'm here with the managers of champions, one of the greatest referees of all time. Bill Alfonso, how you feeling?
Hey, Giant Daddy, it is great to be on live with you, man. I can't believe it. I feel absolutely fabulous. We got a lot of stuff going on, a lot to talk about in this hour. So let's get to it.
Awesome. Yes. Welcome, everybody. There's going to be some fans that will be asking us some questions at home
Okay.
while we run down the card for Bash at the Brew 29. Fonzie, can you remember the first Bash? You were there with me 29 months ago, Bash at the Brew, and now we're at number 29. Can you believe it?
That was pre-virus, right?
That was, yeah. Well, it was just as the virus was still really bad, but it was kind of coming down a little bit. So it was, yeah. It was crazy.
So, it's hard to believe that this Saturday is going to be a monumental, a big step for us.
Yes, and Fonzie, before we start, let me run the intro. I totally forgot. I see I'm a bad host.
Good host, Daddy.
And we're back. Welcome to CCW Insider. You hit it right on the head. This is going to be a pretty monumental Bash at the Brew, number 29. But Fonzie, I want to start. We had a blast this weekend. The rebirth of championship wrestling from Florida. How was that?
Actually, the studio setup felt like I was back home. I couldn't believe it, and especially you had the pictures up there, and I thought it went together really well.
100%. We had a lot of guys in the building who were part of the original championship wrestling in Florida. Obviously, Bruce Owens, the Taskmaster, Kevin Sullivan. But there were a lot of fans this weekend who really felt that studio feel captured exactly what, championship wrestling from Florida. There you are with Andre. There's a great picture of Francine as well. Blackjack, I love it. I love Francine. I miss, Blackjack and all that, all that championship wrestling Florida stuff, and a lot of the fans that were here this weekend who were around back then, they really did feel like it was something, not just the studio setup, but just the vibe, hard hitting wrestling.
I thought it was great, and I'm positive there's a market for that. We're entertainers, and people want to be entertained in multiple different ways. I mean, they like the extreme, they like the death matches, they like pure wrestling, they like old school, they like new school, and we're about all of it, right, Giant?
100%. That's exactly it. You'll see a lot of new school. You'll see a lot of badass, that ECW vibe Saturday at Bash. But you felt a really cool, like it felt like it was 1987 in Lakeland, Florida this weekend. It felt like we were in
right, exactly.
It was that vibe again. Okay, Kellen Smith, love you, Fonzie. Fonzie has fans all over the world. Thank you, Kellen. Anyway, a lot of people already commenting. Guys, you can ask your questions. I have a question, Fonzie. You were here with Kevin Sullivan. I have a question for Fonzie. Fonzie,
I go back 40 years with Kevin Sullivan. I started for Florida Championship Wrestling when I was in my early 20s, maybe 20, 21 years old, May of 1980, and Kevin was there, and we clicked. We've been friends ever since. We traveled tremendous amount. Road
Fonzie,
stories.
You share like, not you guys were in a plane crash together. How many people have been in a plane crash and survived? But you and Kevin Sullivan, like, how did that happen? How was that feeling of you're going down?
Well, it was a Wednesday morning. We used to tape for Florida Championship Wrestling at 106 North Albany in Tampa. That was the Florida office. We would tape 2 hours of TV, 2 shows like we did this weekend. But we got 3 in the can Sunday. Right. And usually 90% of the time I would drive there and back, and but for some reason there was a spot on the airplane. Dusty and all those guys, all the main event guys used to fly. So there was a spot open, and they said, "Hey, Fonzie, you want to fly with us?" And I said, "Great." And there was a merchandise person there the girl who sold our Florida merchandise, and she wanted to jump in. There was a spot for her, but listen, we had Ron Bass, 300 pounds, Sir Oliver Humperdinck, 300 pounds, superstar Billy Graham, 290, Kevin, 270. So the plane was overloaded, and I was like a $155, thank God. If we would have brought that girl in, we would have all died. That's what the pilot said. So the most important part of a flight is the takeoff. So as we're taking off, we get off the ground good, and we're headed up. And one of the twin engine, one of the motors starts sputtering. And every time it sputtered, the plane would turn sideways like this. We're overweight. We're at the most important part of the plane take off. And every time so the pilot did an emergency call, 911, and we banked. We turned around, and there's all these fire trucks and rescue squads waiting for us to crash. And we actually crashed to a small. If it would have been another minute more, we would have crashed big time. But we just barely made it. That
Thank God.
That second engine that was sputtering went out like 20 feet off the ground, and the wing hit, and we slid sideways and all that. We all got out and kissed the ground.
Imagine how history would have changed with superstar Billy Graham, Dusty, Kevin, you protect. Like if you guys all had perished on that train, Florida wrestling would have died right there on that day. So hopefully, thank God that it was a minor crash. But I can imagine getting back on the next plane was a little difficult, huh?
Well, a little bit, All good, Daddy.
All good, Fonzie. So a question from one of the fans here. Which did you enjoy more, being a referee or being a manager? I'm sure you got a lot of stories how legendary matches were supposed to go and change last minute. What did you enjoy more, Fonzie?
Well, I enjoyed refereeing because I got to work so many matches. I was an international referee. I traveled. I've met, being a referee, you'd work 4 or 5 matches a night. So I was working with, when I broke in with Bobo Brazil and the Sheik and all these big time, Bruno San Martino. If I was a manager, I would have never got a chance to work with those guys. But then when I went to ECW and they turned me into a manager with Taz, Sabu, and Van Dam, was tremendous too. That's why basically I'm still relevant in business today, is because of not that I was a 25-year career international superstar referee, is because of ECW.
And it's incredible, like you're saying, when you were a referee. Looking back now in the last 5 months, I've watched a lot of championship wrestling in Florida. 90% of the time, it's you, Fonzie, and you are the way that you move, but you still don't take away from the matches. You have a lot of motion, but you don't bring the attention over. You should definitely be teaching seminars as a referee because it's incredible. But like you said, I probably wouldn't wouldn't be who you are now if it wasn't that time in ECW to show your personality and your charisma.
Right. I got a good break there and I took advantage of it, and I was good at what I did. Thank God. The business rubbed off on me and I was good. And I loved the business, just like you, Giant.
Yeah, hell yeah. Thanks, Fon. But yeah, you Bill Ryan says he loved you as a manager, and I agree.
Thanks, Bill Ryan.
Sabu was on All Elite Wrestling in a huge pay-per-view this weekend. Any Sabu, well, quick one. I know you have a million. I've heard them. Sabu road stories.
Oh my God, I'll tell you ring stories, road stories. So he had the famous barbed wire match with Terry Funk at our ECW arena in Philadelphia, where he ripped his arm open from his shoulder down to his elbow, about a ½ inch wide. His damn stuff was hanging out. He actually went into shock for about 10 to 15 seconds. And he said, Fonzie, give me some tape. So I ran back and got him the white tape. The one we use.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
And as he was taping himself up, he was getting reverse neck breaker onto a chair by Terry Funk. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen. So after the match, we had to cut them all out of the barbed wire. That took a half hour. Then we were stitching them up. You have to, in Pennsylvania, you have to have a doctor at the show.
Right.
And paramedics. And we had them. So the doctor literally started stitching him up backstage, and no anesthesia. Sabu said, "No anesthesia. I don't need it," to start stitching. After about 30 or 40 stitches, Sabu said, "Stop! This hurts too much. Fonzie, go get me some super glue at 7-Eleven." Back then, they didn't have the medical grade super glue what they use now. This was actual super glue, toxic, And he super glued the rest of himself up and squeezed it together, and that's a hell of a story. He's really hardcore.
He's tough.
And he did great. He did great in AEW.
No,
he looked fantastic.
It's funny because him and Jericho, there was something there where I know Sabu's body is falling apart. And I know he's been publicly saying, "Hey, give me enough money and I'll do whatever you want." But him and Jericho looked like that's the match that a lot of people wanted to see, was Jericho and Sabu after Saturday.
I'd pay to see it.
I love it.
Hopefully I might be a part of it,
Yes. That was my next question. I know.
When QT Marshall came down and worked with CCW down in South Florida, one of the big bashes, I don't know, it might have been 19 or 20, but 21. And he came up to me, and he's in the office there. He said, "Fonzie, your name has come up twice in the production meeting." So he said, "Just hold on, we got something. So let's see." He brought Sabu and it got a good reaction. So why not bring the manager of champions in with Sabu? So let's see what happens.
I've heard multiple times from people there that there's a lot of respect for ECW, and I think just across the country, like that era of ECW is so special. Like there's been so many companies that tried to recreate it, myself included, guilty CCW, that I feel like that it's just that it was lightning in a bottle at that moment in time. So I think there has been definitely talks. Taz is there. You have Sabu there, the work that you do with Taz, Sabu, RVD is just iconic.
That ECW still to this day has a cult-like following and just will not quit. I get young wrestlers and young fans come up to me at almost every show and say, "Man, ECW, we loved it. I watched this match. I watched that. I loved the production." And I say, "How old are you?" "Oh, I'm 20. He wasn't even born yet." But Peacock, tapes, videos, Google, they're watching it all. And we have that cult-like following. That's why I said earlier today, that's why I'm relevant today. I'm flying all over the country. I got so much stuff going on, Giant. Traveling around the country, doing independent shows, I'm doing a fan fest with Bruce, with Barry tomorrow in Lutz. And it was a Florida fan fest from back in the day, Gerald Briscoe, Steve Kern, Baron von Raschke, Cuban Assassin, Judy Martin. There's quite a few more. And that's tomorrow. Then I got that Big Bash 29 coming up this Saturday night.
Of course, Bash. Tomorrow. Yes. Everybody at home, hopefully you bought your tickets for Bash already. If not, you're going to lose your mind when you hear this card. But also, you're in River City. We're going to talk about it in a second. But you also have River City coming up. You're going to be there.
Yes, Jacksonville next Saturday and Sunday. I'm there, and that place is stacked. If you can name a superstar, he's going to be there, from Van Dam to Lex Luger to Fonzie. There's going to be so many guys you can't name. Just go on, if you're around Jacksonville, check it out. But if you're in South Florida and you want to see some great action, Daddy, this Saturday night at the,
Unbranded Brewing
Bash.
Yeah, but Fonzie, I think you've helped. You've been at almost every single one. You were at the first one, and you had almost every single one. And Fonzie, you helped create that environment because it feels like a little bit like that ECW feel with those Bash fans. Like they're rabid. A lot of them are drunk. They're rabid. They're ready for fighting. They're ready for hardcore stuff.
It's a great atmosphere.
You're a major part of why Bash has been so successful.
I think because the boys work so hard. I think what you have is great. There's two companies I admire a lot right now, and CCW is one of them, but also John Thorne. You're my two top. And I'm not going to say
in Ohio and Cleveland is doing incredible things.
Yeah, they're doing good. You guys are about on the same level as each other.
Bishop and Justice and a lot of the guys that they have coming through that promotion as well as something that
Matt Cardona,
independent.
my God.
Oh yeah, Cardona. Tell me about that. So you managed Matt Cardona last week.
The
indie
was managing Matthew Justice since I've been there. Since I've been going there for 3 or 4 years, they put me and him together. And we're freaking what a great team. The people loved us. They loved the character. And they love Matthew Justice because he's so hardcore, incredibly crazy. And I turned on him. People never saw it coming, and they put me with the biggest superstar in the indie business today. Matt Cardona is nobody bigger. He's got like 4 or 5 million followers on, on his social media. Is crazy. What a great guy! And they put me with him, and we click, and we're doing good things.
Great, Fonzie. A couple more questions before we start to run down the card here.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk about that. I'm excited about Saturday.
Were you ever asked to come on Dark Side of the Ring or Tales from the Territory?
I was just on it.
I was going to say, I think you're on it. Yeah.
Yeah, they just, I think it was like 3 weeks ago, they flew a camera crew to my home here in Central Florida, Tampa Bay. And they filmed about 3 hours of stuff, asking me all kind of cool stuff about Sandman and road stories and so on. And I had some good ones. So that episode will be coming out. Yeah, and I kind of enjoyed it. The wrestling business has been exploited so much it doesn't matter. Some people get mad when they, some of the boys get mad because of what they put on TV, but it's all true. They talk about the way they find the guys dead in the hotel rooms and the drugs and the car wrecks and this and that. It's the dark side of the ring. That's what it is. But
this is a great question. Gary missed the full-time wrestling life. Gary, where you been at? Fonzie's busier now than you've ever been. Every time I call Fonzie, I say, Fonzie, you feeling good? Like, did you sleep okay? And he always says, what do you say? You haven't slept since when, Fonzie?
1982, Daddy. I haven't slept since 1982. It's true.
So no, Fonzie is so busy. He's double booked. He's double booked Saturdays. Always booked. Always still in the wrestling life. So thank you, Gary. Another was I just said CCW is the best. Let's see, a lot of really cool questions. Not as much profanity. Last week we had Lissy Almeida, who's gorgeous here. Fonzie, she's a little more beautiful than you are, but
I saw last week. She was beautiful. I love that girl, man. She's hot.
Beautiful. So Fonzie, let's talk about Saturday. Saturday's coming up is one of our biggest Bash at the Brews. Really, really exciting. So we have Saturday, June 3rd, 8 o'clock, Unbranded Brewing. And we have Enzo Amore. This broke 2 days ago. This actually was supposed to be a complete surprise. So Enzo makes his CCW debut Saturday. I tried. So what I like to do, Fonzie, is in last month, I had Moose, and I said, Moose, don't tell anybody you're coming to South Florida. Don't tell anybody you're there. And just as a complete surprise, we've had Davey Richards. I love the idea that Bash is already, the show itself has so many people that come that a complete surprise. And I was hoping for Enzo, but unfortunately, it started to get around that Enzo was going to be in South Florida. And our social media.
That's okay. People want to see him, man.
Of course.
He's a big name.
He's a big name. I think one of the most charismatic wrestlers of our time. He's a throwback in some ways. So
he looks great, man. He would have fit in ECW so spectacular.
Can you imagine?
That's why he fits in CCW. I mean, he's going to fit right in.
No, I think Enzo is a guy that, he would fit right in with a Shane Douglas, or even Enzo and Terry Funk could have had a feud. I think the way that he exudes that just charisma, like that New York attitude. I think he's just special. And you can see that by just, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but he steps into the room and he completely exudes, total confidence.
You know how tall Rey Mysterio is? One of the most recognizable names in the wrestling. He's small.
Yes. Yes.
Look at our world champion.
We got a CCW debut with Nadia White. Nadia White from the East Coast, from the Maryland area, and she makes her debut against Mila Moore, Bunny Moore, two gorgeous women. And women's wrestling is hot right now across the Indies, but also here in South Florida.
Yeah, and I think I was on the show. I just came here last week. I was in Maryland. I was flew into DC and did 2 shows there with AWA, and there was quite a few girls on. I'm not sure if she was one of them, but there's so much female talent out there, man. And it used to be sex sells, but now it's sex and violence. And the girls are as hardcore as some of the guys, or not some of the guys. The girls can go, and perform to a big level and step up to the plate. It's not, they don't have girl matches anymore like the Fabulous Moolah back in the day. And no disrespect to Fabulous Moolah, she was a huge star. But man, women wrestling has evolved so much, and these 2 girls I can't wait to see.
Just to jumping off of women's wrestling, this is a great question. Fonzie, how's the Beulah match and the aftermath? And this is the question I love. How did the locker room react?
If you ask Paul Heyman, name, there's literally thousands of matches with an ECW in the almost decade that we were around. And he'll say the Beulah Fonzie match was, if not his favorite, one of his top 3 favorite matches. It was great, man. I got busted open like 30 seconds in the match, almost bled to death, man. It was hardcore. I didn't stop, and it was pretty damn good. Of course, I had to get rushed to the hospital, but people still talk about that match, and somebody just brought it up, and that was 27 years ago. Wow. And how many male versus female matches have there been? If it wasn't for the blood, nobody would be talking about it. It would have been just lost in the sauce. But it was taped.
That is the most memorable mixed match, like man versus woman match. Like I think that there's ever been. I mean, it's something that people, whenever people know that I'm with Fonzie, they always ask about you and Beulah.
We posted it and got 147,000 views already.
I love it. So yeah, we have that, and then we have someone that you're very very well, Mr. Ariel Levy, South American superstar. He puts the CCW Heavyweight Championship on the line versus one of the top stars in Puerto Rico. Some people call him the Puerto Rican Ric Flair, Mr. Pedro Portillo. Are you excited about this match? You're going to be calling it Saturday.
Hell yeah. I'm going to be sitting. I'm going to be color commentating. You can call me Bobby the Brain. I wish, I'm excited. Listen, Ariel Levy and I had a falling out. That's okay. But he's still our world champion. He's still badass. He's still got millions of followers. People love this guy. He's an international superstar. He's a soap opera star. He can sing. He can dance. He's been on movies. He can play the trumpet. He can do it all. But his love for wrestling gets me, man. That's why he made it. That's why he's our world champion, man. This guy gives everything he has. And then to bring in Pedro from Puerto Rico, man, he's badass. I can't wait to see this match. So the challenger has his job cut out for him because Ariel Levy is not going to lay down for nobody.
More than a year as right about a year as champion, Fonzie. So he's had a lot of matches, a lot of, you've been across from him for a long time. You were with him for over a year and a half, almost 2 years as his manager. So you've seen up close just how great Ariel's been. And this is almost like unknown territory here for Ariel because coming from a new country completely, he spent a lot of time with you. You helped him out in the beginning of his time coming into the country. Now he's on his own for the last year. So it's been, I'd say he's almost on his own. He had with him his best friend from Chile, but he's turned on him too. We've seen that. So S2S, Alan S2S Martinez, he wrestles Meadow, the Bulgarian Punisher, as well Saturday in a huge match. Meadow undefeated, but Alan has the heart of a champion. This is a huge size difference, Fonzie.
Alan Martin?
Yeah, Alan Martinez versus Meadow for the Southeastern Championship Saturday.
Yeah, I think that match will be worth the cost of admission right there. We get a spectacular card, baby. If you people, anybody listening to this, if anybody listening to Bill Fonzie Alfonso calling it right down the middle live on video, come check this show out. You won't be disappointed. I guarantee you blood, sweat, and tears, Daddy. This Saturday night, Bash 29.
Bash 29. And then this is another great match. Jake St. Patrick, who is CCW original, one of the assistant trainers here, one of the trainers here for years, and then Chris Farrow, who's his protege, and they're clashing for the cruiserweight title as well. And it's an incredible story. Jake St. Patrick turned on Chris at Hialeah Heat 2 weeks ago. So this is their third match. This is the rubber match, 101. So this one's going to be exciting.
Well, that cruiserweight division all over the country is on fire. No exception in CCW. Those cruiserweights, man, we got them, and they're on fire. We got some big guys. We got a guy who's the size of a Greyhound bus. Actually, his name is the Bus. He's badass, but these cruiserweights are incredible.
We have a cool 6-man talking about the Bus. Ozzy Killmeister, who's awesome, who's got a lot of energy. The Wrangler Nick Turner, and the Bus, like you said, the size of a Greyhound bus. He goes against Abad, Danny Stratos, and Pretty Rich Weiss in a 6-man as well. So huge. It's a huge card. It's a stack card. And
I'm telling you, people listening, do not miss this Bash 29, man. It's going to be super exciting. If you're a wrestling fan, if you like sports entertainment, please come see us.
David Gutierrez, he says he needs more violence. We're going to talk about the main event right now, and it's an I Quit match for the tag team championship. It's no disqualification. I Quit, and that is the Crown, who are just destroying guys left and right. 6'3", built like machines, versus former CCW tag team champions Alex Ocean, the man who can't die. Versus an Agony, who is just, a former CCW heavyweight champion. This one's going to be a huge main event. One of these 4 men have to say the words, "I quit," Fonzie.
Listen, all 4 of those names, the 2 big guys, when you said they were like machines, no, they're not like machines. They are freaking machines. Can we say the F word? They are F.
Yeah, they're fucking machines, brother.
They're badass, brother. I love seeing these guys. And Alec Ocean and those guys, man, they're super hardcore. So there's a little size difference, but I think with Ocean's hardcore determination and heart and drive, it's going to equal the match out a little bit. He is one tough guy. I've seen him fight before. I've seen him in street fights. I've seen him in the wrestling ring. This guy, probably blood, sweat, and tears in this match.
Barbed wire, expect blood, ladders, chairs, tables. So if you like some of that, you'll see it in the main event.
Is it a no DQ? Is it
no disqualification? It's I quit. No one leaves unless into the microphone they say I quit, Fonzie. So if you have kids, and you might want to leave before the main event, it might be a little bit too crazy for your kids.
Hey, hold on one second. My tall, beautiful, blonde Hungarian girl is leaving. I love you. You're a beautiful girl. Oh, I got the most beautiful, tall, blonde Hungarian. She is so hot.
I love it.
You'll meet her when we do TV here. When you guys do TV,
yes.
I have a big guest room waiting for you.
I love it.
Stay with me at least one night.
You're breaking news here, so yeah, we're going to be every second Saturday in Tampa, starting in July. We're going to be filming some Championship Wrestling Florida. More news coming, but yeah, Fonzie, I can't wait to get up there. I love the city of Tampa. I love the bridge. I love everything about it. You like to fight alligators, Fonzie. Maybe you can show me how to fight an alligator.
Okay, not a problem, Daddy. If I can survive this bash on the beach, and hey, I'm going to be doing color commentating. If I can survive this bash,
yes,
that's how violent, that's how hardcore. What a hell of a night, we got coming this Saturday. I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
I can't wait, Fonzie. Steven, yes, you can go to the YouTube. The CCW have a video on-demand archive. You go to the YouTube. It's just Coastal Championship Wrestling, and we have a ton of shows. We have a ton of single matches. You can kind of catch up on storylines and that type of stuff any time of the day, and all of that is free. We filmed 6 episodes of Championship Wrestling from Florida. We're working on distribution. We're working with a few partners on that, so you're not going to be able to watch those full episodes yet. But you'll see some clips over the next couple of weeks. So I'm really excited about that. Fonzie, before we go, coming up, we have Conquer Kissimmee next Friday in Kissimmee for CCW.
Am I doing color there?
Yeah, I won't be there, Fonzie. It's Ariani's birthday, but you go there, run the show. start smacking those kids around. Make them, make them.
Well,
humble.
that dressing room, that crew is so cool, man. And I do bring something to the dressing room. The guys seem to like me, and they look towards to me for answers. So, and I have some answers. I'll do my best without you.
I was talking to Gangrel, who runs our training facility here in South Florida, and
What a veteran.
One of the things that he said is he just loves the fact that you have Fonzie, you have Kevin Sullivan. These are the guys that when you want to ask questions, a lot of times people, kids in the wrestling business, and kids meaning like guys who've wrestled for less than 5 years. But like, they need a guy like Fonzie. They need a guy like Kevin Sullivan, Gangrel to bounce stuff off. So that's what we try to do here in CCW. So you have, but right away, Fonzie, like you are the type of guy, you're so, you answer, you give people, honest advice.
I'm approachable, and I'm not going to tell you that was great. Van Dam used to throw the shittiest punches. He would do everything 5-star, the frog splash, the kick, the slash, and he couldn't throw a great punch. I said, Van Dam, do not throw that punch, until you get it. And now he's perfect. But if you can't do something 100%, don't do it.
Fonzie, that's what one of the things I've learned a lot. It was 5 years. We've been together 5 years, Fonzie.
It's crazy, Giant.
It goes by too. It goes by too. It feels like yesterday, just eating Cuban food and talking about what we want to do. But it's 5 years ago, and Fonzie, that's what I was going to say. I tell people all the time, if it's not a 10, don't do it. Get it. Practice it. But when you're out in front of those people, don't do it. And things that you've yelled from the sidelines at me that I'm now yelling at the sidelines to some of the wrestlers and some of that. It's really been incredible. And working with you has just been such a blast, Fonzie. You are 40 years. You can tell it's been 40 years. You definitely are incredible. Fonzie, before we wrap up, Fonzie, I want to. There's two things. I see the Beatles over top right shoulder.
I love the Beatles.
I love the Beatles too, man. Are you an Abbey Road guy or White Album guy?
Yeah, I'm with the Beatles since 1964. That's my generation, I love it. So,
show us some cool shit in your room. Show us. This is your. You have so much memorabilia that you have there that I'm sure is for sale. Obviously, you can go to ccwrestlingfl.com to buy tickets, but you can also buy merch. Fonzie, I'm sure you got a million things in that. Look at that room.
Listen, I'm getting geared up for 2 big conventions. So I got all kind of ECW jackets made. They're really badass. Really cool. There's all my leather jackets that from the Hard Rock Cafes when I traveled and did the big Fujinami Flair match. 65,000 people at the Tokyo Dome. They took me out to the Hard Rock.
I gotta stop you 1 second on that. So Flair Fujinami, people are going nuts.
1992.
Flair, what is Flair like? Explain how crazy that was.
Well, it was the first ever joint show with WCW, Ted Turner, and Fujinami's in New Japan. It was, and I got a picture of all the guys that were on that tour with me. Look at this picture.
Oh, great, you Bruiser, yeah.
These are all Florida stuff. That's why the Florida thing is going to be great, man.
Yes.
There's Kevin and Wahoo McDaniel, Billy Jack and Dory Funk, Fonzie and Ric Flair, superstar Billy Graham, Harley Race right there, me holding up that belt. Listen, hey, Giant, Harley Race gave me that belt.
Incredible.
That's the original belt.
Right, but Harley gave the other, yeah.
He gave me a replica. He said, I did so many of his matches, and he loved me for some reason. He gave me a replica belt. So that was pretty cool. I'll have that forever. You can buy that for 10 grand. You can buy, you can buy them off the market for $1,000 or whatever, but I wouldn't sell it for $1 million because the sentimental value of it. I just got a lot of cool pictures, and this is my WrestleMania 9 backstage pass, which is pretty cool to have something like that. It covers, I've been in so many magazines. That's a cover of the Japanese magazine when we went out there. How about Bam Bam Bigelow? This is in Japan too.
Bam Bam is like
the best big men ever, I think.
I agree. the way the Bam Bam move. Vader, I'm quite partial to Vader as well, but Vader and Bam Bam are just incredible.
I think Bam Bam had a little bit
We're gonna talk more in the future. I want to.
I'd like to come on your show all the time. I'd like to be a permanent
We'll do
guest.
more. We're gonna do this more often. We'll talk more in the future. We'll talk about what happened with Flair Fujinami because I love that. We'll go in depth on some cool stuff in the ECW arena in the future. But Fonzie, just to wrap everything up, guys. Bash at the Brew Saturday. Bash at the Brew 29. Fonzie will be at the Fan Fest in Lutz. You can check that out. Go to Fonzie's social media. What are your socials, Fonzie? I'll put it in the show notes.
Bill Fonzie Alfonso or at Alfonso Bill. I'm not hard to find on social media.
Yeah, so you find Bill, but he'll be in Lutz on Saturday, and then he'll be at River City the following week. But obviously, buy your tickets for Bash at the Brew 29. We have Enzo. Cha-Cha Charlie will be there. Ariel and Pedro Portillo, a lot of awesome matches. So you do that. Fonzie, as we go out, tell me, in these 40 years, what is a moment that just stands out to you, whether it's ECW, whether it's Championship Wrestling from Florida? What is that one moment? Give me that one moment that you said that you for sure will remember forever.
A couple of words that somebody said to me. He said, this stands out. I mean, I've been all over the world, big matches like the Fujinami Flair, been in sold out football stadiums, WrestleManias, but I was in Japan. This was the night I did the Fujinami and Flair match. I wasn't working for WCW yet. Dusty was the boss, so I did really good in that match. I did my job fantastic. And so we were all at the Hard Rock Cafe, and I took a cab back, and it was Dusty and Flair in the back of the cab and me in the front seat of the cab and the Japanese cab driver. And he said, this is what gets me. He says, hey, Flair, baby, who's that in the front seat, baby? That's Fonzie. He said, Fonzie, baby, it's going to happen for you. I'm going to have Jody call you Monday. And Jody Hamilton called me and gave me a six-figure contract. Dusty got me a six-figure contract working for Ted Turner and WCW. That was really exciting and a big payoff for me. It's just a 44. I'm working on 44 years. I got 43 in. I'm working on 44 years. That's just that's the whole package. I just can't put it all in one. My daughter being born, I was in the business. She's 40. My daughter's 41 years old. And wow. She, I was already in the business a couple of years when she was born. It's incredible. Crazy. It's crazy. I wish there was territories. I wish there was places to go for these guys that you could make a living at. The problem is there's two companies. There's AEW and WWE. And there's only 100 contracts in each company. And you better be badass because there's about 4,000 or 5,000 of the boys out there on this planet that are badass and can fill those roles. It's just being in the right place at the right time. And you better have the talent if they call you.
I love it. Fonzie, thank you so much. I love you, Fonzie. I appreciate everything that you do for me.
I appreciate you having me on your team. I know you carry a lot of the burden for the team, and everybody's really grateful for that, Giant. And we're doing really good, man. We're drawing really good this batch. Yes. Hey, everybody come on my say so. I'm telling you to come this Saturday night in Hialeah, Florida, Bash 29. You won't be disappointed.
That's a promise. Thank you, Fonzie. Love you.
You have been watching CCW Insider, produced by Minutes to Bell Time in association with Coastal Championship Wrestling.
Didn't mean to cut you off, Fonzie. Love you, Daddy.
Good. Okay.
All right, you did fucking great.
All right, you should have. Do you do this weekly?
Yeah, I'll have you on next week. We'll do it again.
You have me on. If you don't have a special guest, you call me. I wouldn't mind coming on if I'm home, brother. Who's not home on a Thursday?
I love it. All right, love you, Fonz.
All right, kid. I'll see you.